A very warm welcome to all our viewers on Daily Diary News. This is your anchor Swarnim Kasana, and today we have a very special guest in our channel. I would like to introduce her as the renowned author of the known book Yellow: The Verses of Hurting and Healing. Today we have on our channel Urja Joshi, who is a very renowned author. We welcome you, ma'am, on our channel. And I would like to tell our viewers that today we are on a very special occasion with her. This is the launch of her new book, 3:40 a.m. And this is the book, and I would like to introduce that she mostly writes on topics which are related to heart, which are related to the deep messages engraved in anybody's heart and soul. And this book is very special. It is written by the name of 3:40 a.m. from heart to head, which is known as a very special time, which she will explain us further in our interview. So let's start our chat with her. Welcome, ma'am, in our channel. So I would like to start this interview with a very common question which all of us have, that what actually inspired you to write this book?
Okay, so again, I would like to say that 3:40 a.m. is one of the most vulnerable, honest, poetic and raw hours of the day. So we've all been there where we feel like it's that time of the day where we are the most lonely, and also like something that centers around which connects all of us. I've seen my friends, my very close people to me, go through a lot of emotional roller coaster through that time of the day. So I wanted to write about that, especially feeling very helpless and then hopeless at the same time. I feel that I also take very impulsive decisions during that time of the day, like texting and also overthinking. So everything written in 3:40 a.m. is basically based on that, like impulsivity, and also at the same time the beauty in it. So that's it.
So it actually also inspired the title 3:40 a.m. Okay, nextly, as we already covered why the title and what's the purpose, what exactly is the theme of the book? Like, it's about thinking or the impulsive decision, like what's the positivity and negativity in that?
If you start reading the book, you'll realize that it's divided into two parts. The first part is the heart, and the second part is the head. So, heart and head, the entire book deals with that tug of war between logic and emotion. So, heart, we talk about everything that we are grieving, in the process of grieving, because I feel that whenever there have been matters which are very personal to us, our heart is involved, right? So, pain, I would say, anxiety, depression, lot of topics that generally we are very afraid to be very open about. And then we talk about the logical part, the head part, where it's more like acceptance of whatever has happened. So it's like moving from emotion to logic. It's like a journey, and also like a roller coaster of emotions. So that's
Like in your previous book Yellow, we got to see the characters Mohi and Kabir, and this book contains the character of with the name of Zara, which is the tale about a girl, and this book goes on about that.
Yeah.
So how is this character different from the other characters that you have previously written?
Thank you so much for asking me this question. I would say that when I wrote Yellow, there was this idea of somebody being hurt, and then this new person coming in and rescuing you. And I think I've outgrown that. So I wanted to write about a character who's very self reliant. So, Zara, that's why you see there's no accompanying character. Zara is alone, and I feel that Zara is somebody who's on this journey all by herself. That if I'm the hurt, it's my responsibility to feel healed again. So there's no Kabir in there, and that's why there's more part of you just growing up to like and love yourself. That's it.
Okay, what was the most challenging part of writing this book? Because as you said, this book is about the heart, the tug war between heart and head. So what was the main, like people face writing blocks while writing these things, because we are facing these things in real life. So what was the most difficult and challenging part for you to write this?
Challenging, I would say that I took 3 years to finally be satisfied with the manuscript. So I discarded a lot of manuscripts before finally handing it over to my publishers, because I felt like, I was constantly outgrowing the stuff that I'm writing. So as a writer, it's very important to resonate with the stuff that you're writing and not feel like the other day you're waking up and you're like, that's not good, I should try again. So I would say that maintaining the level of satisfaction with what I was handing over to my publisher was the biggest challenge that I faced.
As this book is about heart, this book is about healing and everything in between. I also read that this book contains some pieces and verses from your personal diary, which is a very difficult thing to share because personal diary is meant to be kept private, and you have shared things from this. How challenging was it to share? Because I don't think I can gather the courage to share these things with the world.
I actually added a lot from my personal diary, and then I ended up picking out a lot of stuff because I think I'm very, harsh when it comes to being a critique of your own work. But I ended up shortlisting two letters that I wrote when I was not feeling so good. So, one letter is for people who struggle to like their own company, which is like being alone and, always finding somebody to fill that void. One letter is that, and the other one is forgiving your past version, the person who you once were. So these two letters, I feel I edited a lot of personal details because that's obviously I wouldn't want that out. But I wrote it in a sense where I was like, okay, if somebody reads, they can relate to their personal lives. So it is taken from my personal account, but at the same time, it's been journalized, So it's easy to relate to.
So, to what extent do you relate to your character Zara from this book?
I would say like, yeah, I relate to that. I think I'm in the process of becoming, because I feel that by the time the book ends, she's a very healed version of herself, and you can only strive to be that person. There is this fictional part of being a writer and having your characters, that okay, there's something achievable about them, but at the end of the day we are just human beings. So it's like back and forth nature of healing, whereas Zara is complete in herself. And so I think I have yet to be there, because obviously it's all about honesty, right? So that's why I would say 80% I can relate to her, 20% yet I have to work on that. Yeah.
Okay. Would you recommend this book to the readers who are just beginning to enter into the reading field and who are not so familiar with all the reading stuff and all?
Yeah, sure. Because I have made sure that the book is very free. It's a free verse poetry, so you don't need to have a lot of knowledge about poetry field and all. You can read it and you'll instantly feel connected. I also make sure in my books that the language is very easy to understand. Whenever I feel like there's a hard word coming up, I edit it out on my own. So somebody who's a beginner, I feel they'll enjoy it as much as the people who are into reading.
As you just mentioned that you are the biggest critique of your own work, and critics don't just end up criticizing themselves for nothing. So in the end, even after handing out the manuscript, there must be things that you are still critical about.
Yeah.
I need to know that.
I would say everything from cover to verses. My publisher was actually so mad at me because I was not handing out the manuscript. I was like, no, let me see if there's something else. And then he was like, you are trying to achieve perfectionism at this point and it's not possible. So that's something that I really, stick to, because it's true that perfectionism, especially when you're creating art, it's nearly impossible. At the end of the day, you have to say that I tried my best. But I can feel that from verses, I wish I could add more pages. That's something I'm heavily disappointed in. I really like when the books are, thick and stuff. So yeah, that's the only thing I want to say, that I wish it was longer. That's it.
Well, we have 3:40 a.m., which is about thoughts at that time of the day, and those thoughts are never ending. So, do you think we are gonna get something else after this book about that time of the day?
Oh no, I don't think so. I think I'm, ending a very significant, because if somebody has read Yellow before this, they would realize that there is a very similar factor between 340 and Yellow. And I want to, after this, I want to write something completely different and new. So even if I end up writing poetry, I will give some new topics a shot, because I also felt while writing 340M that some topics were repetitive. So because obviously people love reading that, but as a writer, I need some newness to there. So that's why I think this is the last one in the franchisee.
Okay, okay. So disappointment, but we are not gonna get anything other than this on this topic. Lastly, I would like to request you to read at least one verse which you would like to read to our audience, please.
Yeah, sure. I would pick out the shortest verse. I should pick something from head because it's more hopeful. Yeah, so this verse is about like a woman meeting, chaos that has happened in her life. So it goes like, I met me today and it felt like healing meeting hurting. I know she dealt with chaos. I know it has been hard for her, but I'm sure she was happy to see what I have become. I know that even if for a second it made sense to her that why this all happened the way it did. And it's named You Are Your Own Hope. I'm sure there are like way more better verses in there, but I just found that the main thing that people should stick to in 340 am is the hopeful part and not get stuck on the hopeless one. So that's what I'm trying to portray here.
Okay, thank you so much. This was really a beautiful and wonderful verse. I want to add this question actually. What would you like to tell the aspiring writers, who are just trying to write these things, and people are mostly very afraid to share the personal parts of their thoughts and all. So how would you like to tell them, like, how should they approach the writing process and all?
I mean, suggest something that I still struggle with. Like I just talked about it, that trying to achieve perfectionism in your manuscript, don't get stuck with that. And if you're a young and very aspiring writer and you're just entering the industry, then don't even, do it because you want to make it big or you want to be in the public eye or you want to earn. I think that writing is something that in the long term, you can only attach yourself to it if you truly love what you do. It's a very demanding profession, I would say, and you cannot, I would say, survive here for a long time if you're in here for a reward at the end of the day, because it's a very, as a writer it gets very selfless at some point. So that's why do not try to run behind a reward and do not try to achieve perfectionism in your work. That's the two things that I would suggest.
Okay, thank you so much for giving us your time, and I hope this book actually helps the people that you are trying to approach for. Thank you so much.